Howdy, folks. PC Cowboy coming at you again. Hey, today I want to talk to you about some things. Yeah, talking's good therapy sometimes, and I was talking to a gal the other day uh, on the computer, and she said something that got my attention. She asked me, she said, TK, she said, what would you what would you change about this world if you could change something? And I told her, I said, ma'am, I said, lots of things. Number one, I said, when I was growing up, you had men and you had women, and everybody knew which one they was. Nowadays, you got some people that think they're men, some people think they're women, and some people, they think they're something else. Well, I tell you what, folks, God didn't make but two genders. He made the men and he made the women. And men ought to be gentlemanly, and women ought to be ladylike. There's a lot of women out there nowadays that think that in order to attract a man, they got to turn themselves from being a woman into being a butcher shop window and have all their meat on display. That ain't how you get a man, at least not a man of quality. Now, I'll admit, when you find the man for you, then yeah, it's fine to show him what he's getting. But just to be showing yourself off to any and every man, that ain't no way to get a good man. And fellas, I'm going to talk to y'all for a minute. You see, a lot of you guys want a woman that's no bigger around than my little old finger here. But you know what? I always heard that dogs prefer bones. Men like a little meat. Now, I ain't throwing off on you gals that are nothing but skin and bones. I know some of you can't help it. And I ain't saying you gotta get a gal that could be weighed on a freight scale neither. What I am saying is that outward appearances don't really amount to much. You see, I'm just an old cowboy, a philosopher, and yeah, my life's been a rough one. I'm in a wheelchair right now, but hadn't always been. Probably will be the rest of my life, but that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. Because being in a wheelchair doesn't change who I am. Doesn't change the values that I hold. You see, before the wheelchair, I was on crutches. And I'll just share a little incident that happened one time in Georgia. I won't say where I was in Georgia, but I was passing through. I stopped at a convenience store to get a Pepsi and I think I was getting me a Snickers bar. Well, anyway, so I walked up to the door of this here convenience store, and there was a lady headed for the door. Well, I quickened my pace. On the crutches, I get a little faster speed than most people get just walking. And so I quickened my pace, got up there, pulled the door open for her. She looked at me, and she said, I'm perfectly capable of opening the door for myself. And I looked at her and tipped my hat, and I said, well, ma'am, I was raised to believe that a gentleman opens the door for a lady. However, in this case, I can see that I was wrong, because you obviously are no lady. I walked on in the door, pulled the door behind me. Because one of them kind of closes itself, but I went ahead and added a little emphasis by pulling the door to behind me. Well, when I got inside the store, the old man that was standing behind the counter, he looks at me. And he said, son, he said, I have no idea what just took place out there. He said, but I do know one thing. He said, whatever it was, you got the better of her. And I said, oh, how you figure? And he said, look, if you'll look over my left shoulder here, he said, you'll see a mirror. So take a look. He said, her jaw has done bounced off that concrete about 3 times. Folks, I did not mean to embarrass that lady so thoroughly. Well, maybe deep down I did. I don't know, because to me, I was doing what a man's supposed to do. And she sure wasn't acting like a lady. Well, you know, maybe there are more than just men, gentlemen and ladies. They also got some things out there called rascals and trollops. Well, you know, ladies, I saw a deal on the internet one time said women seem to pick the bad guys over the good guys and then complain about what they got. Well, let me tell you something, ladies. When you go into I'm going to use an example a lot of the ladies can relate to. If you want to get a diamond, you don't go to a 5 and dime store. Because you may get you a big old rock that looks like a diamond, but it won't cut glass. Guys, same for y'all. If you want you a good lady, well, I'm going to go ahead and share something else with you. Guys, if you find a gal that looks good, that can cook all kinds of foods, and it can rope and wrangle with the best of them, and she's single, fellas, run like heck, because that woman is bound to be plumb crazy. So otherwise somebody else would already have her. Ladies, y'all need to quit thinking that the more you show yourself to every man out there, the sooner you're going to have a man. Because a man that's only after your body, he ain't worth having. You need one that's after what's inside. Because you see, me being an old man, I've learned that the outer shell, it deteriorates with age. If somebody's got qualities and values and character, that's going to stay the same. You young fellas, y'all may think it's all fine and good to go out there and see how many women you can have. Well, let's tell you something. If you're keeping a head count, you ain't got women. Because a real woman will hold herself off for the right fella. And then when she's got the fella she wants, boy, that is the point where things really get good. I don't know where I got onto that line from, but I'm going to go back to what I was talking about. What this country needs is a return to values, where people honor their word. You know, nowadays we think it's business as usual for a politician to say one thing and do another. That stuff needs to stop. I had almost given up hope for that stuff stopping until along comes this fellow named Donald J. Trump. Now, he ain't a politician, no sir. He's a businessman. Maybe that's another thing. Maybe we need to get these lawyers out of politics and put businessmen in. Because after all, government is basically a business. It needs to be run with people with some business sense. You want to make your country strong? Treat it like a corporation. get the best people you can in leadership, and the rest, well, keep them following orders or following directions, following the law. Now, I saw something about a deal in Texas. A guy on medical marijuana hit a church bus, killed a bunch of people. Well, in the first place, folks, in most states, and Texas is one of those, a person who's on epilepsy medicine, well, they can't get a driver's license because of the possibility of them having a seizure. In fact, one idiot on Facebook had the audacity to say, well, maybe the person had a seizure. If he has seizures, he shouldn't have been driving. And if he's taking medical marijuana, which is a psychologically altering drug, he shouldn't be driving. Because you never know when he's going to go off the side. And I don't mean off the side of the road. I'm talking off the side of the loony bin. Folks, that guy killed 17 innocent people. And, well, when I told that guy how I felt about it, he says, it's a good thing I wasn't making the laws. Well, he's probably right, because if I was, well, no, I wouldn't. I can't exactly say that, because you can't hang a man 17 times. And you see, that's another thing. When we had public execution of criminals who had done really bad things, you didn't have a lot of criminals doing really bad things. One of my heroes from the Old West was a guy by the name of Judge Isaac Parker. Some of y'all may have heard that name from the movie True Grit. There really was a Judge Isaac Parker, and he really was the judge in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Judge Parker had a goal that he never got to fulfill. He had a special gallows built to hang 13 people at one time. Most he ever got to hang at the time was 12, because it seemed like every time he'd get a bunch of them, and he'd hold them in jail until he had enough to do a good hanging. Well, now, it seemed like every time he'd get enough, one of them would die of natural causes. I think maybe we ought to bring back hanging for violent criminals. Take a life, give up yours. And if we put those hangings in public, or heck, put them on TV. Do a pay-per-view. Hey, you want to watch this guy swing? $19.95 plus your local taxes. And then that money could go into a special fund. Now, with that fund, I bet you we could pay off the national debt. Talking about hanging, there's a fellow I'd like to string up. Runs that loud muffler all the time. Anyhow, folks, this country needs to return to values. I recommend we go back to the Old West values, because we need some respect for law and order. We need some respect for the flag. And these guys that are taking a knee, well, I tell you what, I say we strip them of their football jerseys, put them in a good old Marine Corps uniform, run them through boot camp, and then send them into the fight so they'll find out what that flag really represents. You see, they think it represents oppression. I think it represents freedom. Freedom's something worth fighting for. And if you ain't willing to fight for your freedom, you don't deserve to be free. And if you're willing to give up a little bit of liberty in order to have freedom, you don't deserve either one. Somebody famous said that. Don't remember who it was, but I can't take credit for it. I can just say I agree with it. Well, folks, even though I'm wearing my glasses, I think you can tell that I'm shooting from the hip. I've had a long life. I'm 62, still going strong. But I'll tell you what, in that 62 years of living, I've done about 80 years of living. Because I've been all over this country. Been to a few foreign countries. But, well, heck, technically right now I'm in a foreign country because I'm in North Carolina. I'm from Texas. The nation, the Republic of Texas. But anyway, we won't get into that. I really want to impress on y'all the importance of having values. Like, for instance, honoring your word. When I was in high school, I had a friend of mine, his cousin come to me wanting me to teach him something. And I told him, I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, I'm busy right now. Catch me Friday at 10 o'clock. Well, his cousin went back to him and said, well, I wanted him to teach me, but he said he was busy. Come back Friday at 10 o'clock. And my buddy told this kid, he said, let me tell you something. He said, if TK tells you that on Friday he's going to give you $100, when you see him on Friday, get your wallet out. If TK tells you on Friday he's going to kick your tail, be on the bus on Thursday out of town. And you know, I'm still that way. I try to keep my word. Now, sometimes I can't. You know, we all have times where we give our word and we can't follow through. But if I get into that situation, well, by golly, I'm man enough to say, hey, something's come up, I'm not going to be able to do what I said I'll do. At least not in the time I said I'd do it. But as soon as I can, I will fulfill my word. We need more folks to do that. Another thing we need is more folks to do less giving their word. Don't give your word if you ain't going to keep it. That's all I got to say on that topic. And what's wrong with America? Not a whole heck of a lot that we can't get rid of by just turning back the clock a little way. We need to reach a point where we're willing to stand up for what we believe. And what we believe better be that we live by the Constitution of the United States of America. Because I tell you what, anything other than that ain't gonna cut it, folks. Now, I want y'all to know that like I've said a couple of times, I am who I am, and I stand for what I stand for. Had a guy talking about that situation with the bus in Dallas that got hit by a guy who was on medical marijuana. Well, let me tell you something, folks. He said that I was wrong to feel the way I do. I don't think so. If the guy was on something that's going to alter his personality, his perceptions, he don't need to be driving. I tell you what, I was on a drug for depression. Yeah, I'll go ahead and tell you which one. Cymbalta. But I've started noticing that was giving me something called pseudobulbar affect or something like that, PBA, which basically kind of takes over and you have inappropriate responses, sometimes I'd just break down crying for no reason, and sometimes I'd be laughing my tail off for no reason. Well, folks, I'm drug free. I still have some of the residuals from the PBA, but I kicked the depression using two things. Number one is the Word of God, and number two is my own willpower. I am a college-educated cowboy with a degree in ministerial counseling. You see, I believe that the Bible is the best medicine. And because of that, I don't have to pop a little bitty pill to keep me from being depressed. And now I'm not telling you to put your pills aside without consulting a doctor. You see, I came off that Cymbalta slowly. And when I came off of it, I felt a lot better. Now, some of y'all out there may be on meds that treat depression. If you are, I'm not saying I'm stronger than y'all. I'm just saying that I prefer to face life in the power of the Word of God. And so don't say I said to come off your meds, because I'm not. If you need them, take them. But if you don't. But if you need medications, you need to take them responsibly. And if you know that your meds are liable to give you seizures, don't get behind the wheel of a car, ever. I've covered a lot of stuff today, so I guess I'm going to have to title this one The Ramblings of the PC Cowboy, or something like that. But I'll tell you what, folks, I just had a lot on my mind today. There was a young lady that I talked to that she seemed to think the only thing she had to offer men was her body. And she was willing to show that body off to any man that wanted to take a peek. Now, I also know a young lady that she has enough self-respect that she won't show her body off to anybody but one man. And of those two, I got to admit, the second one's the one that's got my respect. I ain't gonna call no names, but ladies, how you expect a man to respect you if you don't respect yourself? Gentlemen, how do you expect a lady to respect you if you don't respect yourself? Seeing as how I'm a guy, I'm going to talk to the guys mostly for just a second here. Guys, if you want to be respected, pull your dang pants up, put a belt on, and act like a man. Instead of some fruitcake, queer so-and-so. And for those of you who may be of the homosexual persuasion, believe me, you ain't men. God did not make homosexuals. God didn't make no Adam and Steve. God didn't make no Ann and Diane. God made Adam and Eve. And that, friends, is the way it should be. Until next time, this is the PC Cowboy saying, may your horse never stumble, may your scent never break, may your belly never grumble, and may your heart never ache. And by golly, I nailed it. Yeah!